It is a cliche that startups are all about people. And even though it's a cliche, I want to come back and just re-emphasize this point. To be successful in the company, you have to put together the dream team. That's what it's about. You've got to pick your people very carefully. And the reason for this is almost without exception, business plans are wrong. As an example, at Xterra, we've gone through at least 5 business plans and have probably 1 or 2 more in the future as well. And the point is that when the business plans are wrong, if you've put together the right team, that team is going to figure out what went wrong, how do you fix it, or what direction to turn. You know, every decision that you make has a set of assumptions associated with it. And what a good team is doing is constantly checking those assumptions. And as soon as one of those assumptions is wrong, you say, all right, how do I regroup to handle that? When you're thinking about how do I put the team together, first you got to think about yourself. What are you best at? Do that and hire people to do the other things. I asked one of my friends, Mike Farmald, who's the founder of Rambus, FTL, and then a whole bunch of other companies, Mike, how do you do it? And he said, the very first thing is you get a business partner by your side. Because first of all, if you're the technologist, you want to be able to make sure you're focusing on the technology. But at the same time, a startup is literally a death by 1,000 cuts. There are so many little things that have to be done. And if you don't have your business partner by your side, literally bleeding doing those, you're the one who's going to have to do those. In hiring the team, startups, you remember there is no time clock at a startup. People have to be self-motivated. If they aren't, they shouldn't be there. You have to trust them to be. And you can't afford specialists because, again, you don't have a huge team. Everybody's got to have multiple hats. You're looking for jack of all trades. One of the things that I found is in putting together the management team, one of the most important traits is that management team can deal with uncertainty. Now, in a startup, you never have enough time, never have enough money, never have the resources you need to get all of the data to make a decision. And so always you're dealing with imperfect and incomplete data, and given that, you still have to be able to make a decision and be able to move. If your management is paralyzed by the lack of data to make that decision, you're just never going to get anywhere. I asked a friend of mine, John Bayless, who's a venture capitalist at Seven Rosen Funds, what did he see in common with the companies that failed? And without hesitation, he responded, a management team that starts pointing fingers when the going gets rough is doomed to failure. You've got to have a good chemistry amongst the management team. It can't be the blame game because you're just going to die. It's the analogy of a startup is you go into a little rowboat and you're trying to cross the ocean. Everyone's got a paddle, and everyone's got to paddle in the same direction. When you run into trouble, what's the problem? How do I solve it? It's not about blaming people.